Nation. I'm Jasmine and my group consists of Felicia, Juho and Wei Ming. Our topic today is about the disruption in the Singapore taxi industry, and the scope of our presentation will be as follows. With over 95% of the population having a smartphone, phone applications become the fastest point of contact for businesses. Internet bridges consumers and service providers, erasing the need for physical presence. For example, car owners can make use of the ride-hailing application to earn additional cash. This would not have been possible if majority of the population does not have access to an internet. The new mentality of millennials also play an important factor for this disruption. Living in the age of internet, millennials are exposed to technology since young, which creates a more adaptable personality. Trying out the latest application becomes the in thing, and that leaves transport application with no exception. Before the implementation of PDBL, lax regulations supported the growth of ride-hailing application. Driver could come from all walks of life, and barriers to entry was almost non-existent. Now I'll pass my time to Felicia to talk about the benefits and downsides of the disruption.
Thank you, Jasmine. So the benefit of the disruption brought along convenience to users as hailing for a ride has moved to the ease of booking on the application. This shortens the ideal time as GPS in the application will be able to accurately identify the pickup point of the rider. This also allows a two-way communication between the drivers and the users for any special requests. On top of convenience, it is also cheaper as there's no surcharge during the peak hours. The prices of the fare is predetermined upon hailing for a ride as a dynamic pricing model is being used. So for our report, we have identified the different winners and losers before and after Grab and Uber merger. So the pre-merger winners are users as there are promotional codes available since Grab and Uber are trying to increase their market share. While the post-merger winners are Grab and traditional taxis as the point-to-point transport industry turned into a monopoly situation. With lesser competition in the market, the prices are increasing. So for the downsides of the disruptions, there's more private hire drivers on the road, and this is increasing the congestions, especially during the peak hours. So for the pre-merger losers are the traditional taxi drivers, as they are not familiar with the use of technology. They will have to learn to adapt to the changes, if not they will always be at the losing end. For the post-merger losers are the users as there's lesser promotional codes and the prices are increasing. So now I'll pass on to Juho.
Thank you, Felicia. So for now, I'll be talking about the similarities and differences of different countries. First of all, the disruption of the taxi industry did not only affect Singapore, but many other countries. In both Vietnam and Singapore, both Marlin and ComfortDelGro lost about 6,000 and 3,000 drivers respectively. This loss of driver had resulted in a decrease in the revenue for both companies. Besides the suffering of companies, taxi drivers were unhappy as there was a loss of job opportunities due to the increase in private hires. Moreover, the unfair treatment between the private hires and the taxi drivers further sparks more unhappiness in the drivers. This is where the difference comes about. In Singapore, despite being unhappy, the drivers were adapting the change and pick up Grab and Uber, which improved their job opportunities. However, in countries such as France, England and Indonesia, there were protests and riots. These are some of the pictures from countries mentioned previously. Due to the unhappiness from the citizens, necessary actions were taken by individual governments. In Singapore and Indonesia, new regulations was implemented to ease the unfairness. For instance, the implementation of PDBL in Singapore for private hires. However, for France and England, Uber was being banned to operate in the country. Next. In terms of public policies perspective on Singapore government reactions, the government should encourage enterprises to be more innovative. Companies should be able to fill in opportunities gap instead of leaving jobs for others. Also, there should not be policies that deter foreign technology advancements, as it will reduce the business competitiveness in Singapore. Lastly, the government can work with Uber and Grab to leverage on their expertise, for instance, the usage of their reservoir of data to implement bus services to ease traffic flows. Now I'll pass on the time to Wei Ming.
Right, thank you, Juho. So knowing of how our government reacts, let's compare how others tackle these changes. The Australian government took a more open approach and offers financial rebates to taxi drivers to help them tide through the period as their earnings take a cut due to Uber. The French deterred and resist against the change, imposing bans to Uber drivers. Due to strong labour union, this creates social insecurity with riots by taxi drivers to pressurize their government even further. All in all the governments reacted kind of different but showed significant signs of resistance. Some identified the need for the change while others took longer but accepting the change eventually. After the merger, many new companies such as Ride, Jugnu, Gojek emerged as they all look out to seek for their share of the pie. They deployed similar strategies, lower commission for drivers and discount for riders. But it all boils down to convenience, something that Grab seems to have perfected with their developed infrastructures and enormous driver base. The two biggest takeoff from this is to actually embrace change and have continuous improvement. For companies, any form of stagnation is regression. Well, they have to really they are not often to adapt to changes, and they will find themselves crippled as other companies make use of more effective ways to make money. For example, word of mouth advertising, one of the slowest in the past, now becomes popular when partnered with social media. And individuals must also be aware of their surrounding, preempting possible changes that could affect them. For example, drivers from Ubers are now forced to adapt to Grab's regulation and cultures. Opportunities could also be hidden within, and we as individuals could leverage and benefit from it. With that, we felt that technological advancement is overall beneficial to the society, as well as the benefits of convenience heavily outweigh the costs brought about. With that, thank you.